This is the AceGamer Pocket Controller, the most unconventional and distinctive controller for the Nintendo Switch. It's small, about the size of the Super Nintendo controller, but it's fully featured with vibration and a gyroscope. It has a long-lasting rechargeable battery, works on PC, but it's mainly designed for the Nintendo Switch. Besides that, it's sold in packs, like this, where you get both the white and black models. And this matches my point of view about this controller. It's really good for those of you who want, for example, to play on the Nintendo Switch and have extra controllers for multiplayer gaming. But it also works really well as a pro controller, and wow, 2 controllers for 150 or a controller for 80. I think this is a good option, and that's what I'm going to talk about now, the AceGamer Pocket Controller. So, leave a shout out in the comments. The package includes 2 AceGamer controllers, right? I've already opened the white one, but there's another here. Let me open it with you guys. There are 2 controllers. They're exactly the same as each other. The only real difference is the color. I even imagine there might be other color options in the future. But its box is kind of small because the controller is small. And here, right away, we take everything out on a tray. Here's the manual, right? With the settings in several languages, which already explains everything you need to know, like, for example, what kind of battery it has, how to change the settings through the app. But look, it comes here with a USB cable. I imagine you already have several. And here's the controller. What's cool about this controller isn't just the size. Even now, it has a grip that reminds me of the Super Nintendo, since it's such a thin controller. But you'll notice, man, the analog stick is really tight. It's very small here, but it actually extends. It's because there are 2 buttons back here that when you just pull it, it pops out. It's really cool, okay? You can do this with each of the analog sticks. They do this because I imagine it's designed so you can grab the controller and drop it. I don't know, to store it for a trip, put it in a case to be able to transport it. I think that's interesting, but in the end, that's just how the controller is. I have it here in black, I have it here in white. The buttons, especially its analog stick, really remind me of the buttons on the first Joy-Con. Seriously, this analog stick here really reminds me a lot of the Joy-Con. In fact, if you think about it, I have here, look, an analog stick cover for the Switch with a one-piece design. If I take it and put it on here, it just fits perfectly, so I wouldn't be surprised. For example, if you get used to this controller, just because of the buttons and the size, which is very similar to the Switch Joy-Con. What's even cooler is that all the buttons you have on the Pro controller are here. You have the L3, the R3, the analog stick, both of them, both analog sticks, the D-pad. It seems to be really, smooth to move, right? It's the same thing with the ABX, ABXY, right? But the plus and minus buttons have tactile feedback. They're not clickable, but they do have a tactile response, and there's a button up here. Look, there's the X and the S. The S is for Switch. The X is for you to use it as a PC controller on your computer, like a standard Xbox controller, where it will switch the ABX, ABXY to match the standard layout. Because we know Nintendo is the opposite, so that's basically it, It's a controller whose battery lasts a whole day of gaming. In my opinion, it's really good. Having a pair of controllers like this that already comes in a kit, in a sealed box, is good for you to have extra controllers, for example, for those joining you in multiplayer, which is cool. Let's see it in action. Now, okay, I have the Nintendo Switch on and I have the Ace controller. It gives off a Super Nintendo controller vibe, because of its small size and all, but I can reach all the buttons, right? I picked this game here, it's a classic, to see how the analog stick behaves. I'll choose a cool stage. The first Snow World stage. Let's play as Toad. He's the best. I feel the vibration pretty intensely here, but it's not very strong. It kind of spreads through the whole controller, It's a standard vibration, but we can adjust the vibration levels, which is an advantage. The analog stick, man, it really reminds me of the analog stick, It's a real analog stick like the Switch controller. I think anyone who's already used to the Switch won't find this strange. I did a bad speed run here. Man, the rabbit ran away from me. Come on. Man, controlling it here is really smooth, okay? I believe that getting used to the Joy-Con from the first Switch already got me used to this controller. So, let's move on to the next one, man. In 6th song, you can feel a strong vibration when you're playing, especially here in this rain area. You feel every raindrop, and it's intense because of the standard vibration. Man, it's been a while since I played this, so hitting with Hornet is actually a bit easier. Really, it's been a long time since I got into this game. But playing with the D-pad is smooth too, I was using the analog stick out of habit, but you can play just fine with the D-pad as well. Actually, since this game is 2D, it's even more recommended, But it works just fine. Let's grab another classic here. This one is much more loved in Brazil. And on this channel, right? Honestly, man, for a controller this small, it's really cool to play retro games. It's much more comfortable, you know? The D-pad, the responsive buttons, it's awesome. The feeling I get is that this controller is kind of like a Joy-Con version, but pro. It's pretty crazy, man. You can only really understand it by holding it in your hand. But it's the closest thing. The analog stick feels like the Joy-Con's analog stick, and the buttons are about the same size. So man, honestly, it feels really good. Look, Yokari Playly, this one, man, is the game I recommend everyone should play it for the love of God. The vibe was like Nintendo 64 era collectathon games here. You can feel it a bit more. Look, this game uses vibration a lot, but this controller doesn't have HD rumble. I recommend that you reduce, like I did, the amount, the frequency, and the intensity of the vibration, because otherwise you're going to feel something really strong. For every movement, you really get immersed in this. If you leave it too high, man, like, this game uses both analog sticks a lot, one for movement, the other for, you know, turning the camera really makes a difference. I feel that for platform games, even some fighting games, depending on which fighting game you're playing, you'll be able to adapt well. Now, I believe that shooting games will be a challenge, but nothing impossible to learn to play, you know? It's a matter of getting used to it. We got used to playing games like this with Joy-Con, so a controller like this for these games won't be any trouble. It's just a different way, right? For me, it's something new. I don't know that many controllers. I didn't have this experience with such a tiny controller like this. And the portable controller. It's cool to have, for example, options to let friends play, so you're not limited to just the 2 Joy-Cons that come with the Switch 2. This works really well. And now you already have, for example, 4 controllers for multiplayer games, which works great now, like Mario Kart and free mode. Look, I turned on the gyroscope, man. It actually works pretty well. I don't think there's a way to mess it up, right? With a gyroscope in a game like this, it's really gonna help. If you're a fan of games that use gyro, you've already got motion controls here, which are really working super well. I grabbed a star here, man. The turns are really smooth. I'm not really someone who uses the gyroscope much, but I know a lot of people use it, especially for shooting games and stuff. Here, it's responding well in terms of movement. If you're getting it to play Fortnite, Pragmata, Resident Evil, it's going to work just fine, because there are games that use this really well. Look, I completed the objective here, and it was pretty smooth, you know? It's all good, man. It works well. So, it's a nice controller. Now comes the question, man, is it worth getting this controller? I believe that for the price, it works really well. But it's hard to use it as a controller that will replace the main controller you have on your Switch, you know? It works on PC, which I think is really good, but the thing is, it really depends on what you want to do with it. It offers all the Pro Controller's features the same way, but at a much lower price. On the other hand, it's very thin and it's kind of designed for travel because its analog sticks stick out quite a bit. But, like, I can just take the analog stick and lock it here because there's a lock on the back, and when I hold it, it pushes the analog stick and it literally stays like this. That's interesting for this controller, since you'll get an extra controller for travel. I'm used to taking my Switch 2 to my friends' houses and I carry it in a huge suitcase. Man, I can put it here because there's space for it. And in this case, I can take 2 more extra controllers, so like there will be 4 controllers counting the Joy-Cons that are already on the console. Honestly, this controller is worth the price. Man, it's less than 100 rays. Like, at the time this video is being published, it's costing 70, but there are AliExpress coupons that make it even cheaper. There's a combo with both that was going for 130, so like you really will end up finding this controller pretty cheap. There's a white version, there's a black version. I prefer the white one. I'm from that Nintendo Wii generation, so this already works well for me. Man, if you're used to playing the Switch one with the Joy-Con, you'll adapt really well because the triggers, the analog sticks, the button sizes are literally the same as what you had back in the Switch 1 days. So this is going to fit really well. I'll leave the link in the description so you can buy it. This controller is really worth it. It's a pretty solid pick. It's no wonder it's actually one of the best selling around the world. It always shows up in the top 1 or 2 in sales. So honestly, I get why. It delivers everything the Pro Controller does, man, so it's already worth it. I believe that if you, for example, need an extra controller, this one is going to be the best option you'll find because it really delivers everything the Pro Controller does. It'll become your go-to player 2 controller, or player 1 since you can switch when one runs out of battery. I liked it. It's really worth it. You can get the link, it's in the description, and then after you buy it, comment here what you thought about the Ace controller, alright? I liked it and I think you'll like it too.